All right, folks. Well, good morning. We've got a great guest today, a young man who I met just a couple of weekends ago. I was inspired, to talk to him, to learn about his journey and his story with, his son who had cancer at age 5 and kind of where that led him. And, I'm really excited to have Logan Duvall here today. Logan, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you for having me, Steve.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Well, let's talk a little bit about, there's so many things that I was looking through this morning that I wanted to talk about, and I want to be respectful of your time. So we'll kind of just, start out and talk about, kind of where you were in life as far as, compared to where you're at and the things that you learned after learning that Lander had cancer.
Yeah.
And then once you found out and kind of got over the, probably the very many emotions that you talk about on your website, the fear, the anger, the depression, you name it. And then kind of, what really got you focused to dig in and go figure things out.
Right. So, Steve, I think everybody has their own very special story and things in life that shape us, whether it's been your experience or what I've gone through. I mean, life's going to punch you in the gut. So, very briefly, my backstory, my mom was 17 when she had me. We didn't have any money, watched her just bust her butt to provide and give me the best life possible. So I learned that hard work and the serving, something more than yourself at a very, very young age, and just that resiliency and empathy. I think that's the biggest thing that she probably taught me. But so watching my mom struggle over the years, and not having, I never went without, don't get me wrong, but we didn't have a lot. And so growing up, by most standards, poor, it was one of the biggest blessings ever. It's such a beautiful thing. So, but it instilled in me that burning desire to go out and achieve success. So I can take care of my mama, can take care of my future family. And so always really into reading and how to self-learn. All right. So with that, fast forward quite a few years, and I am a business partner in the farmers market, and we have had a substantial amount of success, and it's gone well. And then, out of left field, my oldest child, 5, comes to me one evening after we've been working. It's like 7. He says, "Dad, my pee's orange." I said, "What?" So I get up, I go to the bathroom, and it's blood. So this is, what do you do? So start trying to figure out what's going on, and we end up at Arkansas Children's Hospital. I'm here in Little Rock, and within about 12 hours, we figure out he has a cantaloupe-sized tumor engulfing his kidney.
Oh,
so
my.
What does that mean? So what all these questions, like why, how did this happen? What do we do? And again, I think that's that life ambush that everybody gets hit with. It's about how do you respond? How do you do there's unknowns and there's a lack of control.
Yeah.
So I think that's that turning point for everybody is like, what do you do? And you don't have to have the entire roadmap planned out. You just got to start taking what's the thing I can control? How can I make the best out of that? So we dove in. I dove in to research how do I save my son? Okay.
Yeah.
So within 2 days, we had full scans and figure out what's going on, sitting in this tiny little room again after I've been told my son has cancer, and they say, well, he's stage 4. It had spread from his kidney to his lymph nodes and into his chest. We don't exactly know what's going on. So
those that don't know, I mean, stage 4 is is virtually, to most people who don't have the Lord, who don't do what you did, that's a death sentence to the majority of the people once you had stage 4 and it's metastasized, correct?
It's fully metastasized. But that's it is what it is. So what can we do? What can I do? What do I have control over? And how do I make the best of that? So I said, God's going to do his part. The doctor's going to do their part, and Daddy's going to do his. And dove into diet and nutrition and everything I possibly can. And podcasts have been such an unbelievably good resource for me in that knowledge and learning how other people have taken health and longevity and overcoming and fixing problems. And back to the whole point of getting the life ambush, the something punching you in the mouth. Some of the greatest resources I've ever come in contact with are from somebody who had a real problem, and then they tried to solve it and serve other people. And so Dave Asprey with Bulletproof, that's exactly what happened to him. You've got Mark Hyman, who's a functional medicine doctor. People like that. Terry Walls is another one that she had MS and was in a wheelchair, and through diet and nutrition, she's walking and treating patients.
Wow. So
for cancer, that's what my whole world has become over the last few years, is how do I build a business that's successful enough so I can accomplish the mission of just making cancer go away. There's a whole lot of that. And I actually have a book that's going out. It's on pre-order right now on Amazon. It'll start shipping out October 31st, but it documents everything that we did. So the food you eat are extremely important. The lifestyle you have, things like fasting and grounding and sleep, all of it is so unbelievably interconnected. And I believe God designed it that way. It's not a magic pill.
Amen. Yep.
To bring it full circle, to me, Steve, cancer and addiction have so many similarities, right? So there's not a magic pill. There's not, well, this one pill will cure cancer. This one pill will solve addiction issues. You've got to have an emotional front, a physical front. You got to have a support network. You have to have the internal dialogue that's positive, that you can overcome what's happening. And with that, I think I know a lot of your listeners are going to be people that have struggled with addiction, and there's nothing worse than having a loved one that you can't help, right? Whether it's cancer, whether it's addiction.
Well, I think is, at least speaking for myself, as men, always being able to control something, or no matter what the problem is, knowing you can, as long as you put in the effort, you'll find a solution, but cancer, I mean, obviously you did exactly those things, but it's a different animal that most people, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but a lot of people would let it defeat them right from the mind in the beginning, and you said it early on, which is so important. How we choose to respond to situations is key. And, that's what I think attracted me when we met to you is, you can feel somebody's energy. You're a positive dude, and, you just have that kind of light and that aura about you. And anyway, so
I appreciate
continue
that,
on, but you bet, man. It's there. And I think that, if we want certain things in our lives, there's no doubt that how we think, how we act, and that energy that we put out is a huge factor that I think the masses don't even understand is there. Yeah. It's just so powerful, but it's so devastating if you continue to stay in the victim stance, so to speak.
Right. And nobody is unique or immune to these adversities in life. They just manifest in different ways. So being judgmental and telling people, well, just do this or do that, or don't do this, it doesn't, yes, it makes sense on the surface, but there's so much more to it. There's so much more to it. I want to hit on something for your audience specifically, because I have a dear loved one who has struggled with addiction, and I know how that has played out and how well you can do with the right team.
Yeah.
Diet, nutrition, supplementation are extremely important. So a resource that I highly, highly recommend everyone to get is Dr. Charles Gant, Gant. His work is incredible. And he's a godly man who's looking at science and how can you do things. So by, well, you know what? Steve,
I'll put his information and name in the show notes too.
Do that. This is a game changer. It's called EndoLift. It is a amino acid blend that really helps getting those neurotransmitters realigned, because the chemicals of drugs, whether it's an opioid or an illicit drug, they mess everything up as far as how, and it's not just we'll quit taking it and it's fixed. It doesn't work that way. We gotta help, right? And so I can't stress how important eating good food is, and not eating things like sugar and processed flours and gluten. All that junk kills you, whether it's you have nothing wrong, you have cancer, an addiction, it doesn't matter. It's terrible. So something like that with a team that can say, hey, you need this. I'm just old country boy, simple, grew up in a small town in Arkansas. All right. So I try to keep things as simple as I possibly can. And I firmly believe, and it's probably an oversimplification, but health issues are for one of two reasons: either a toxicity, right? It's heavy metals, it's pesticides, it's other chemicals. It's a toxicity can be you have a really bad diet and your blood sugar is 400 all the time, and you're going to go into a coma and die, right? That's still a toxicity because it's too much of something your body doesn't need. Or it's a deficiency, and that's extremely key too, because we don't eat a good enough diet to get little minerals. You think selenium or magnesium, things that have a huge impact. Zinc, especially with COVID, we have, there's things we can do, vitamin D and zinc and things just to have that baseline that you need. So with any sort of deficiency, by overcoming that, you create a healthier overall body. And everything works the way God intended.
Yeah, exactly. That's, we kind of had that discussion. I've always believed that if there is a God, which I definitely believe there is, that he wouldn't put us on this planet Earth if it didn't provide us everything that we needed to take care of this temple that he gave us. Yep. And, it comes down to that. That's it. Because everything else is created, frankly, by evil. When you talk big pharma, that's a rabbit hole we could go down and spend hours and hours, if not days on. That stuff's intentional, and the side effects that those things bring create other things. And it's just a big vicious cycle. Frankly, like I said, I believe it's evil. Are there some good drugs and things that definitely help us? Absolutely. But overall, I believe that agenda and the way it was started, it was malicious and had intent based on money. And not to get off subject here, but that's what COVID, it's just all horrible. We have the ability to fight off those things, like you said, simple, just vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, quercetin, those four things right there, are really, that can handle it if you just take that stuff.
Game changers. I work with some alternative cancer specialists and coaches, for lack of a better term, and the supplementation is a big deal. I can't stress that enough. You'll hear a lot of the negatives of you're just going to pee it out. Well, yeah, your body's still going to use some of it, especially if it's a good quality supplement. So I'm a huge believer. If what I would highly recommend, and your listeners do, is focus on their sleep and not taking sleeping pills. And that's not what I mean. It's just like good sleep hygiene. Take a shower, brush your teeth, get off that phone, get that blue light out of your face. Don't eat late, and get a good quality sleep. That's a life changer in of itself. Look at some basic supplements to take, like a vitamin D, a magnesium, a Beam Minerals is actually a liquid that I think she's out of Washington, so closer to you than Arkansas. It's easy, and you hit such a wide range of what could be wrong. That quality, and this is a snowball effect. It's compounding. Yeah. Right. You just keep getting a little bit better, and before you know it, you just feel better. Exercise, sleep, huge. Yeah. Exercise. Take some base level supplements for mitigating any deficiencies, and stop eating crap. That's vegetable oils. That's gluten.
Yep.
That's sugar, added sugar.
Yeah,
It's really,
that's huge. So that's something that's always frustrated me when it comes to supplements. Maybe see what you can do to help the listeners, when it comes to those, because I believe that there's so much out there, and I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe the majority of it is for the most part crap,
wholeheartly.
And so how do you, what do you offer, or how can you steer me and others, the right path to find the right things that have the quality?
My whole world has been focused on cancer and my son, but it has this trickle effect across the board. And so I go back to longevity research is kind of my base level. It's like the blue zones. Dan Buettner is best known for that. And he goes around to the places in the world at which people regularly live to over 100 with a high quality of life. And so that's
isn't there like about 5 of them in the world?
I think there's 6. There's 6, and there's a little bit of discrepancy on that 7th. But imagine this: people lie. Can't believe it, but they do. So the length of life is not as high in one of the places. But the diet and the lifestyle, and by that I mean reducing stress by going out on a walk, spending time with loved ones, and getting off them phones, and working 80 hours a week, taking a nap, not eating to where you're extremely full. So there's some key things across the board that which they do. Going back to the supplements, I dove into each one of the brands and supplements for what I'm going to give my child. Right. So there's no litmus test any more important to me than, can I give this to my baby? And I have found what I believe are those. And again, going back to some of those podcasts I was talking about earlier, Mark Hyman, Dave Asprey, those are trusted resources for me, and use them. So there are things like Bulletproof. I think that's a phenomenal brand. Bio Optimizers is a phenomenal brand. Ultra Botanica is out of Oklahoma City. They're great job.
Bulletproof, is it the brand that was it a Navy SEAL or someone that created that, or is that different? Like Bulletproof Coffee, I know is a brand. That's not the same company, is it? It's
the same company.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what? And he has a great story. I highly recommend people go check him out. And he's got lots of books and things. But Dave was actually the first guy to ever ship something across the internet, as like a T-shirt or something, to sell something over the internet. So he's an engineer by trade. And he was overweight, fatigued, felt terrible, somehow was functioning at getting results. I think anybody with a high level addiction can understand that. Well, I'm still performing good, but you've not even touched your potential.
That story kept me stuck.
Yeah. So what he found out is he had some mold toxicity. So lived in a house with mold, was drinking coffee with mold. And so he's like, well, what do I do? He ends up over in Asia, I believe it was Tibet, and noticed the natives on the mountains or down trails, and they're using, an ox or something, and they have these electric blenders hanging off the side of them. He's like, what? We're in the middle of nowhere, electric blender, what's going on? But they were taking the butter and blending it with their coffee and having these amazing results. And that's how Bulletproof started. He's like, I'm going to find coffee that doesn't have mold. I'm going to teach people how to use this. And he solved his own problem and served other people. And he's just kept building on that. So it's really neat and admirable what he has done. So he's probably my number one resource when it goes to health things, because he is the original biohacker. He's the one that coined the term biohacking.
Wow.
So, he's great. And on the entrepreneur side, for me, John Lee Dumas is the foundation of everything I do. Yeah. I think great dude, veteran. He's who hooked me up with Clay Clark.
Oh, really?
So it all goes back to Dave Asprey and John Lee Dumas for me.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Well, how much time do you have? Because like I said, I want to be respectful, but I kind of want to hit on a couple other things.
I'm good. I got a 10:15 meeting, but
Okay, we'll give us maybe 10, 15 minutes. Because my podcast, Life After Addiction Indictment, obviously is the audience we're talking to. But as I've kind of, experienced some of the awakening, the reawakening, so to speak, of learning more about what's happening, as basically, bottom line, we live in the matrix. And food and diet and those things, I believe our lives have been created in ways that most people get sucked in to the rat race, get stuck on the hamster wheel. And I believe that's intentional. I believe debt is a slave that has been pushed upon us to suck us in to, if you look back in history, even, I was born in the 60s, late 60s. And if I look at my life early on as a kid, at how many homes had working moms, there weren't that many. There were some for sure, but that wasn't the majority, at least what I experienced. But nowadays, it is the majority. I believe that was created, and so, there's tons of different tentacles that could go off and talk about here, but what I want to talk about more as far as, what I consider the evil that has created a lot of this, really all of it, from just more on the diet and what you see, from this kind of perspective that I'm bringing up, if you see that, and, what are the things, I think, because what happens is, as we're stuck in this rat race, it's so simple to be in that grind. And then, if you look at America, we're the most overweight country, it seems. And I just feel like that's kind of pushed on us in a sense. I'm not making an excuse at all for anybody.
Well, I think what you're saying can be encompassed in one idea. It's effortless to be involved in this.
Exactly. And it's to eat right and do things right.
It takes energy.
It takes effort. It takes planning, and like I said, energy. And so as people are so stuck in that rat race, so many people get home and they just feel tired and we're lazy and, but like you said early on, those things that you can do to help with addiction or whatever, people have to remember what we do today impacts tomorrow. You got to quit looking out at what we're trying to accomplish in the, 6 months out. Forget about that and just take care of today and the compound. Amen.
It's
Amen.
either negative or it's positive. Compound.
Yep.
Nobody's ever stagnant. You're either getting worse or getting better. Period.
Bingo.
And everything that I'm doing. So I have coined the term sowing prosperity. Right. So sowing prosperity. Awesome. What is prosperity? So it goes back to me as Galatians 6:7. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, this he shall also reap. So
look at my Facebook today. I actually posted that because I saw it on your website.
Did you really?
Yep.
Love it. That a boy. But it goes back to prosperity, sowing prosperity. Prosperity is not money, right? Oh. That's financial means is a part of it. But it's not everything, because a man without health wants one thing, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter how much money you have. They don't care about money when you're on your deathbed. And so how do you have good health? And then you can absolutely have the financial means at which you can take care of your others and serve the world. And you have community. So that's my whole world. It's health, wealth, and community. And the foundation of that's God. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not trying to leave that out. But that's to me it's almost a given, right? So we have these biblical teachings. I believe wholeheartedly in the Bible that what it is written is true. I think it's the greatest history book of all time, and it is the Word of God. So on top of that, you're building the prosperity and going back to Galatians 6:7. I firmly believe, and my audacious goal is to create a blue zone in Arkansas. So anybody that's not familiar with Arkansas, we are about the 48th most unhealthy state in the country.
Really?
Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas, we take the cake when it comes to unhealthiness. We have done a horrible job.
Like good Southern cooking, isn't it?
Hey, it tastes good. It does. It tastes good, but it don't make you healthy. If I can create a blue zone in Arkansas, it can be replicated anywhere, right? Because we're the worst If you can take the worst and make it the best, you can do it anywhere. So my goal is to do that through agriculture, because the way our food is produced is as important as what is produced. So when we're having grass-fed beef, completely different than a commercial operation where they're grain-fed. The meat is not even the same thing.
Yeah.
The ecological effects when you're rotating, think of bison, that's how we should be raising cattle. You've got a massive herd that are close knit, they're moving, and they may not touch that ground again for 8 months to even a year, right? They're just moving, they're crushing things down, they're pooping all over it, and then they're gone. And then the land rests and regenerates, and then they come back and do it again. We do those type of methods with beef. We're improving the ground and not going out. How many times, especially, so Alan Savory is a South African man that has done a lot of work with the big game ranches and things, and like Kenya and Zimbabwe and things. And they are combating desertification. So they're rotating these animals, the livestock, and they're building, they're getting rid of desert. They're turning it into productive lands. And so I think that's very applicable to like Texas and Arizona and New Mexico and even Utah is, hey, if we do the right farming methods, we have better land, we have better food, we have healthier animals, and that goes into the better food. It's better. And then we have built habitat for wildlife. So that to me is just, hey, if we can work on our farming, we have so many benefits. Now, if we take the right foods and we're not, so for example, you familiar with like vineyards, right? So the antioxidant levels of grapes that are not sprayed with pesticides, they don't even compare. So there's these things, I don't know, it's crazy. This is a crazy concept. God created the things on this earth, right? And he gave everything the ability to take care of itself, right? So when you don't spray pesticides on these grapes and bugs attack them, the plant does something to protect itself.
Right? Just
And
like the body. Yeah.
It's crazy, I know. And so it has a much higher antioxidant level. It is fighting to protect itself. And now through that harvest, you have a much more nutritious product. That can go across the board. It's hard. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Organic does not, I'm not saying organic does not have limitations by any stretch, but growing things in a natural way and letting things work the way that God intended for nature produces a much superior food that nourishes our bodies. You've got that. So we've got agriculture, we've got health. And then if we build businesses that serve the community, that provide for yourself, for your family, but it's also providing a service, a product that improves other people's lives, man, we double down on that. And then we get rid of chronic diseases, because I don't believe like the war on drugs works. I mean, we've been doing that for so long. The more you fight something, it's almost like the stronger it gets, or it figures out a way. But if we create a baseline of health, that we are healthy, Alzheimer's, diabetes, dementia, heart disease, cancer, it just kind of goes away. And we've not fought it. We've just improved so much, it's gone away.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't you find in as you were, learning to save your son, kind of what things did you find when it came to, things that maybe cause or trait cancers, whether it be other medicines, other, whatever. I mean, did you run into stuff like that?
And I will never know, unfortunately, on why did Landry get cancer. I'll never fully know that, I don't believe. But we know environmental impacts, poor diet.
I think I got some ideas, but I won't go into that. But
yeah, well, yeah,
you're obviously doing some things. Yeah, you're doing some things, dude, to serve humanity that God works in mysterious ways. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And you're obviously going down a path that, to me, like I said, is inspirational. But when you find something also that you really believe in, and then you can serve others, make a living at the same time, man, it's not work anymore. you know,
It's
'cause
not,
you're
it's
so
not work.
passionate about something. Yeah, it's not. It's just,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fulfilling, you
Yeah.
know, that's what it's all about.
I've laid out, a good game plan in the book, Father's Heart. And again, it's available for pre-order right now. I'll send you that
Got the
link,
Lander
Steve.
plan,
The
plan.
Landerman plan is part of it, but it goes back, and I think it's going to be something that your audience can relate to. In addiction, to me, on the surface, is not that much different than cancer. It's not. It's
yeah.
adversity. You got to get your mind right. You got to have your
Yep.
emotions right. You got to get that. And now we start attacking it through nutrition and diet. And then I end the book. It's not structured like any other book I think anybody's read. The end of it is like this big audacious goal that I'm talking about with how do we create a blue zone in Arkansas. That's the last part of the book. It's our journey, what we did specifically, that it's for cancer, but it's across the board health, and then what we can do to create a blue zone.
That's the book, The Father's Heart. And when does that get released?
It's on pre-order now. Amazon, we're doing a push in Amazon first. Anybody that's ever written a book or appreciated a book, go and leave a review. I think you understand that from the podcast.
Yeah.
Reviews are the biggest way to support an author, a podcast creator, anybody that has so much weight. So leave a review. It's a big deal. Get that book, leave a review. Let me know you've read it and what I can do to help. But that review is a big deal. I wish it wasn't that way, but if we hit the Amazon bestseller, it takes off.
Yeah, we'll definitely be pushing that. And what is your website? How can people reach y'all? Obviously, put all this stuff in the show notes, but tell us your website and how people.
So my business is Me and McGee Market. So the old Me and Bobby McGee song, it's Me and McGee, spelled the same. My grandma did that. That was their last names, and that's how it was. A little fun term of endearment. That's the business. The farmers market. It's everything we do. Lots of videos, go around farmers, restaurants, things like that. Sowing Prosperity is where I'm really building that foundation. I've got the book on there, and that's going to be. Man, we're going to create a blue zone in Arkansas. That's going to happen. And
I believe it. You speak it into existence, and with your focus and your effort, it's going to happen.
We're going to help so many people, but it takes networks like connecting Utah and Arkansas, connected from around the world, and just like-minded people coming together that want to serve the kingdom of God. And
Bingo.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's what, I respect so much about you and so many others that we met when we were in Tulsa, just being in that room for 2 days, network and the synergies. It's so messed up how, the pride and the ego gets in the way. And, because just being there and seeing how simple it can be for us all to help each other to win financially so that we can alleviate anybody that has that kind of stress, to focus on truly what we want and how we can improve the kingdom. And that's what it is all about, so that's what really excited me. In fact, so much that I'm doing a second podcast now. Because I just feel like I got to get in the fight and do my part to try to help out humanity, because we're in a spiritual war, man. And, God's going to win, we're going to win, but it's, we got to get involved. It's been so easy to just think other people will do it. Doesn't matter who's, in the White House, blah, blah, blah. Those days are over.
Yep. It's all on us individually. No more. And I think the grassroots movement, that's where you get the strongest results anyways. So just.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to leave you with the last word. Anything you want to leave the audience with?
Just, I do. One thing, man. So I have thousands and thousands of people come through the market on a week, and I have been thanked numerous times about being kind. And so that's really kind of laid something on my heart that I don't necessarily like. We've become a society that being kind is not normal. So the parting advice is, man, you don't know what somebody else is going through in their life, and simply smiling and being kind makes a big difference.
Bam. That is so, so true. And I think that's, it's simple, but just
So
smiling at
simple.
the cashier at the convenience store, can make all the difference in that person's day.
Yep.
Like you said, we don't know, So that is fantastic. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate your time and look forward to staying in touch, and appreciate you kind of getting me my intention back in place and looking at the things I can do with natural things that can help me with some of the issues I'm dealing with. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome, brother. Good talking to you,
Hey,
Steve.
man. Hey, you have a fantastic week and we'll be in touch.
All right, Bubba. See you.
Okay, take it easy. See you.